Have you ever wondered why some people seem to maintain unshakable peace, even in difficult times, while others are overwhelmed and destabilized by every challenge? The secret lies in the people you choose to have around you. In old age, this becomes even more crucial. What you allow in your space can define your mental peace, emotional health, and even your faith. The Bible teaches us that true peace comes from God, and by surrounding ourselves with the right people, we can experience that peace like never before. In Philippians 4:7, we read, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." In this video, we are going to reveal how to choose the right people, those who truly build you up and not drain your energy. Are you ready to transform your relationships and therefore your spiritual life? Pay close attention, because what we're about to share might be the key to a full and blessed life. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Did you know that many people who watch our videos are still not subscribed? This means you could be missing out on transforming content every day. Click the subscription button now and turn on notifications so you won't miss anything. Let's begin the journey to transform your spiritual life by choosing healthy relationships. Keep watching, because what comes next can change everything for you. The importance of mental peace. Mental peace is a treasure that is valued more deeply as we age. In our youth, we are accustomed to the rapid pace of life, constantly seeking new challenges and victories. But as we reach old age, we begin to understand that true peace doesn't reside in external achievements, but in the internal state of serenity. Peace of heart is the gift God offers us, as taught in the Bible in Philippians 4:7. "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard our hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." This peace does not depend on external circumstances, but on a deep faith in God's promises and a heart willing to receive His divine love. At this stage in life, it becomes essential to surround ourselves with people who contribute to our mental peace. It's not just about having company, but about sharing our time with those who build us up, understand us, and support us. Just as Jesus surrounded himself with his disciples, we too must carefully choose those with whom we share our lives, always seeking those who help us grow in wisdom and grace. The right company not only gives us tranquility, but also strengthens us in our faith and trust in God. As stated in Proverbs 13:20, "He who walks with the wise will become wise." Wisdom in old age is reflected in knowing whom to share our days with. It's important to remember that not all relationships are healthy, and some can be toxic to our mental peace. The Bible speaks of how we must protect our hearts and minds from negative influences. In Proverbs 4:23 we read, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." People who constantly drain us emotionally, foster drama, or demand more than we can give can affect our serenity. Learning to set boundaries is essential to protect our peace. As disciples of Christ, we must remember that divine love does not call us to endure relationships that destroy us, but to seek peace and harmony, just as He taught through His miracles and parables. Avoiding toxic relationships. In old age, our social relationships take on even more weight in our lives. As we spend more time with those around us, it's crucial to recognize which relationships build us up and which ones drain us emotionally. Although some close relationships may seem like support, not all are healthy. There are people whose presence, though well-intentioned, can become an emotional burden. It's like when Jesus, in His teachings, showed us that true companionship should not distance us from our divine purpose, but rather help us draw closer to Him. Sometimes, to preserve our mental and spiritual peace, it is necessary to distance ourselves from those who do not bring positivity into our lives. Wisdom in old age allows us to better discern which relationships are a true support. In Proverbs 27:17, we are reminded, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Healthy relationships, those that truly build us up, are the ones that challenge us to grow, to be better, and to come closer to divine principles. It's not about rejecting people, but learning to set boundaries with those whose words or attitudes pull us away from our peace. As disciples of Christ, we must be wise in selecting the people with whom we share our lives. The Bible encourages us to surround ourselves with those who help us grow in faith, hope, and love. Avoiding toxic relationships does not mean we should distance ourselves from everyone who challenges us, or even from those who need help. Jesus himself was surrounded by complicated and often difficult people, but he knew when it was time to offer love and when it was time to maintain distance to preserve inner peace. Just as he taught us to love even our enemies, we must also learn to love those around us without allowing their attitudes or behaviors to destabilize us. It is an act of divine wisdom, an act of care for our mental and spiritual peace. Wisdom in old age. The wisdom we acquire as we age is not just based on the knowledge we accumulate, but on the deep understanding of life and divine teachings that guide us at every stage. In old age, we learn that past experiences should not be merely memories, but living lessons that allow us to see the world from a clearer and deeper perspective. Spiritual wisdom, as described in the Bible, is a gift that brings us closer to God and allows us to live according to his commandments. In Proverbs 2:6, we read, "For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding." Wisdom that comes from God equips us not only to understand the world around us, but also to make decisions that reflect his will. As we age, it is common to reflect on our lives and the decisions we have made. But it is important to remember that true wisdom does not come solely from material achievements or personal victories, but from the understanding that everything we have and have achieved is a divine gift. Just as the apostles and disciples followed Christ, we too are called to live our lives with faith and gratitude, knowing that our existence has a greater purpose than ourselves. Wisdom is not just about accumulating knowledge, but about applying that knowledge in our relationships with others and with God. As we are taught in James 1:5, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him." In old age, it's also essential to learn to wisely choose the people we spend our time with. The right company can be a great source of wisdom, support, and comfort, while wrong relationships can cloud our vision and affect our inner peace. Just as Jesus chose his disciples to continue his mission on earth, we too must surround ourselves with those who lead us to the truth and help us maintain our faith strong. Wisdom in old age is knowing the difference between what builds us up and what moves us away from the peace of God. In the end, it is a wisdom that guides us through life's trials and challenges, trusting that God has a purpose for each of us, and that through his mercy and grace, we can always find the peace that surpasses all understanding. Learning to set boundaries. Setting boundaries is not just about protecting our physical space, but also about safeguarding our mental and spiritual peace. As we age, it becomes crucial to learn to say no when something or someone threatens our inner serenity. Life teaches us that not everything in this world deserves our attention or energy, and sometimes the demands of others can overwhelm us. The Bible speaks of the importance of protecting our hearts and emotions. In Proverbs 4:23, we are told, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Setting boundaries allows us to protect that heart, which is so precious, not only from people but also from situations that can drain our peace and faith. Jesus himself showed us the importance of setting boundaries in his life. While he was always willing to serve others, he knew when to withdraw and take time to pray and commune with the Father. In Luke 5:16, it is mentioned that he withdrew to lonely places and prayed. This example invites us to also learn to step back when we need to rest, reflect, and renew our spiritual strength. Setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness, but of divine wisdom, which helps us maintain our inner peace and our relationship with God. Just as Jesus taught his disciples to rest in him, we too need times of retreat and prayer to renew our strength. The wisdom of setting boundaries not only applies to our relationship with others, but also to our own expectations. In old age, we often need to adjust what we expect from ourselves and others. Life is not about doing everything to please others, but about living according to what God calls us to be. In 2 Corinthians 12:9, the Apostle Paul reminds us, "But he said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness.'" In our weakness, we find God's strength to set healthy boundaries, to recognize that we don't need to do everything, and that it's okay to ask for help or say no when necessary. Setting boundaries allows us to live in the freedom God offers, a freedom that leads us to peace and well-being in this special stage of life. The balance between help and control. In old age, it is natural to seek support and help from our loved ones, but it is essential to find a balance between receiving help and maintaining our autonomy. Sometimes those around us, with the best of intentions, may begin to control our decisions under the premise of wanting to help. However, this control can be detrimental to our mental peace and dignity. The Bible teaches us that help that comes from God and from those around us should be a support that lifts us up, not something that diminishes us. In Galatians 6:2 we read, "Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ." True help, the kind that reflects divine love, is the one that respects our autonomy and dignity while offering the necessary support to move forward. Just as Jesus walked alongside his disciples but also gave them space to grow and make their own decisions, we must find a balance between allowing others to help us and maintaining our freedom. In John 15:15, Jesus told his disciples, "I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father I have made known to you." This relationship of friendship and mutual respect is the one we must cultivate with those around us, especially in old age. Helping others does not mean imposing our will on them, but walking together, respecting each person's individuality and decisions. It is important that when seeking help, we are clear about our needs and desires. Just as Jesus always showed compassion but also set his own boundaries, we must learn to communicate what we truly need without allowing others to take control of our lives. Autonomy is a divine gift, and maintaining it is a way to honor God and his plan for our lives. As taught in Philippians 2:4, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others. The balance between receiving help and maintaining control over our decisions allows us to live a full life at peace with ourselves and with God. Fostering healthy relationships. In old age, the relationships we cultivate can be a source of great joy and peace, or they can become an emotional burden if we are not careful. It is essential to surround ourselves with people who not only respect our independence, but also help us grow, support us without draining us, and provide an environment of love and understanding. The Bible teaches us that we should seek relationships that bring us closer to God and help us live according to his teachings. In 1 Corinthians 15:33 we are warned, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." The people we choose to share our lives with have a profound impact on our inner peace and faith. Just as Jesus surrounded himself with his disciples who shared his vision and mission, we must also seek the company of those who support us in our spiritual life. Healthy relationships are not just based on emotional support, but also on mutual growth in faith, hope, and love. In Proverbs 27:17, we are reminded, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." The relationships that truly enrich our lives are those that challenge us to be better people, to live according to divine principles, and to strengthen our relationship with God. Fostering healthy relationships also involves learning to forgive and love unconditionally, as Jesus taught us. Sometimes, the people we love may cause us pain or frustration, but forgiveness is one of the greatest blessings we can practice in our daily lives. In Matthew 18:21-22, Jesus teaches us to forgive without measure. Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times?" Jesus answered, "I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times. Forgiveness not only frees the one who receives it, but also the one who gives it, allowing us to live in peace and harmony with those around us. In old age, fostering healthy relationships is key to living a full and blessed life. By surrounding ourselves with people who support us in our faith, who respect our independence and who help us grow, we can experience the peace and joy that God desires for us. These relationships allow us to live with hope and joy, knowing that we are surrounded by God's grace and mercy. We have reached the end of another video full of wisdom and valuable reflections. Now we want to know from you, which of these teachings resonated most with your life? Share your experience in the comments, and let's exchange ideas and grow together. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications so you won't miss any transformative content. We are here to accompany you on your spiritual and personal journey. And to continue this walk, check out the recommended video on the screen right now. See you next time.